through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government. Thank you, guys.
The U.S. Agency for International Development has come into the crosshairs of President Trump, and he told his head of the Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk, to dismantle it. The past couple of days has been tumultuous for the agency. On Saturday, members of Musk's team arrived at the office and were physically blocked from accessing its internal systems. Then, the agency's website vanished without warning. This morning, staffers were told to stay out of the agency's headquarters in Washington, D.C. The president said the agency needs new leadership.
It's been run by a bunch of radical lunatics, and we're getting them out. USAID, run by radical lunatics, and we're getting them out.
Well, now the agency has been absorbed by the State Department, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying today that he is the acting administrator.
Yeah, there are things that USAID, that we do through USAID, that we should continue to do, and we will continue to do. But everything they do has to be in alignment with the national interest in the foreign policy of the United States. And the attitude that USAID has adopted over the years is, no, we are independent of the national interest. We fund programs irrespective of whether it's aligned or not aligned with the foreign policy. That's ridiculous. These are taxpayer dollars. Every penny that we spend in foreign aid needs to be in furtherance and aligned with the national interest in the foreign policy of the United States.
So USAID originally started under the Kennedy administration, is funded by the United States Congress, but it's not part of the United States Department of State. That just changed now, obviously. What's happened over the years, the original mission of USAID focused on advancing U.S. policy at the direction of the executive, has evolved over the years into something that pretty much sometimes runs against U.S. foreign policy objectives. So with that in mind, I think this administration, they're looking at correcting that and making USAID more mainstreamed under the State Department.
Yeah, and let's talk about the controversy now. Apparently, Elon Musk, who is heading up Doge, which, as we know, is tasked with reducing wasteful and unnecessary government spending, is pointing to some questionable expenditures, such as sending funds to EcoHealth Alliance, a medical research group that has been linked to the Wuhan lab in China, and also funding DEI and LGBTQ programs. What more do we know about this, Rick? And if it is true, does that fall in line with the concept of the agency?
Well, in my personal opinion, I don't think it does fall in line with the original intention and goals of the agency. It has had, over the years, consistently funded very, very controversial issues that many Americans may object to. Funding for abortions, funding, like you mentioned, to LGBTQ issues, and many foreign nations where this just isn't part of what they're looking for. USAID was originally intended to build bridges and to help water treatment facilities. And then now so much of that money really goes to controversial social causes that most Americans, many Americans, I'd argue, have their own personal problems with. And because of that, perhaps maybe we ought to consider whether or not those things should be taxpayer funded. I think the top-down review of USAID, and by the way, let me also say that USAID does do some wonderful things out there, right? Let's be clear about that. But we are now $35 trillion in debt. We currently need to start focusing our attention on being fiscally more responsible. And I think when taxpayers start learning more and more about some of these initiatives that are funded that they know nothing about, it becomes a real political liability, and people lose faith in the institution overall. I suspect that President Trump, and particularly now under Marco Rubio, they will start working on making USAID reflect actually the policies of this administration, and generally reflect foreign policy from the State Department, and streamline their efforts and funding so that it makes more sense.
It's been run by a bunch of radical lunatics, and we're getting them out. USAID, run by radical lunatics, and we're getting them out.
Elon Musk, you didn't create USAID. The United States Congress did for the American people. Elon Musk, you didn't create USAID. The United States Congress did for the American people. And just like Elon Musk did not create USAID, he doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are. We're going to stop him.
What Trump and Elon and all of their cronies are trying to do is take away the constitutional power of Congress. We get to decide. We have the power of the purse. We get to decide where money is allocated, and it's the executive's power to make sure that that money gets to where it needs to get.
The president just said he wants to possibly get rid of FEMA, and that he's going to direct all the funds going into North Carolina through him now, not through FEMA. What's your reaction?
Sounds like a winner to me. I don't know. I mean, FEMA hasn't done that much, so whatever works. It don't really matter. We need the roads and bridges and stuff fixed around here. So whatever it takes to get it done, that's what I think they should do.
Yeah, I don't think people realize. I mean, you even look right here down the main drag. Yeah. It's still a mess out here.
Where I live off of Highway 9 is where close to where Garin Creek and, all that happened, where the family lost 11, family members. It's still pretty bad. Some of the roads still one lane, and it's pretty bad. I mean, it needs to be fixed.
What does it mean to you that President Trump, he's going to be right around the corner here in just probably less than an hour?
I love it. I think he's doing a good job. I think he's done more in the last 3 or 4 days than Biden did in 4 years. Whatever it takes to get money here, and help or whatever, we need it to be fixed.
We get to decide. We have the power of the purse. We get to decide where money is allocated, and it's the executive's power to make sure that that money gets to where it needs to get.
Elon Musk, you didn't create USAID. The United States Congress did for the American people.
In a dramatic move that could reshape U.S. foreign aid, the Trump administration has taken steps over the weekend to dismantle the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID. According to a recent internal directive reviewed by the Post, employees were ordered to work remotely during Monday's session and avoid entering the agency's Washington headquarters. An email that was allegedly drafted by Gavin Klieger, an engineer at Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, had directed staff to stay away from the building and prepare for significant restructuring. Musk claimed that President Trump gave him the green light to, quote, shut it down for good.
I actually checked with him a few times, said, are you sure? I'm like, yes. And so we're shutting it down.
Trump himself had denounced USAID during comments to reporters on Sunday night, claiming it was, quote, run by a bunch of radical lunatics, and he vowed to remove its leadership before making any final decisions. Musk echoed that sentiment during an early Monday morning X Spaces live stream, calling the agency a, quote, ball of worms that is beyond repair. The agency has a roughly $40 billion budget, most of which funding goes to good governance efforts in foreign nations, as well as humanitarian relief. In addition to the work from home directive, more than 600 USAID employees have been locked out of agency's computer systems, and 2 security officials butted heads with Musk and Doge cost cutters when meeting them at the headquarters over the weekend. Apparently, Musk at one point tried to access classified material at the headquarters, and shortly afterwards, the agency's chief of staff, Matt Hobson, who had been appointed by Trump, resigned from his post. These actions come amid an unprecedented funding freeze on foreign assistance that already resulted in thousands of layoffs at aid organizations worldwide. Recent reports indicate that Musk and his team accessed sensitive information on the Social Security and Medicare payment system at the Treasury Department over the weekend as well, a move that also led to another senior official's resignation. Congressional Democrats have strongly criticized these moves, with Senator Elizabeth Warren demanding answers from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent in the case of the Treasury. Critics have also argued that Trump is effectively allowing Musk to bypass congressional oversight in dismantling USAID. But Musk and proponents of dismantling the agency have argued that many of its causes are funding left-wing agenda items, such as LGBTQ and progressive social causes abroad. Musk also pointed to reporting from the Post about USAID's involvement in funding to the now infamous Wuhan Institute of Virology. In particular, Musk flagged more than $800,000 that USAID had funneled to the since debarred grantee EcoHealth Alliance, which funded experiments on bat coronaviruses at the now infamous Wuhan Institute of Virology. Those experiments have since been classified by NIH officials as having constituted so-called gain-of-function research, for having made coronaviruses more transmissible and more infectious. As of last month, HHS has debarred EcoHealth Alliance from receiving any federal funding for the next 5 years.
USAID was something that you liked in some respects.
I love the concept of it.
Had some programs.
Sure. I love the concept, but they turned out to be radical left lunatics.
Through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government.
It's been run by a bunch of radical lunatics, and we're getting them out. USAID, run by radical lunatics, and we're getting them out.
Elon Musk, you didn't create USAID. The United States Congress did for the American people.
We get to decide. We have the power of the purse. We get to decide where money is allocated, and it's the executive's power to make sure that that money gets to where it needs to get.
I think he's done more in the last 3 or 4 days than Biden did in 4 years. Whatever it takes to get money here, and help or whatever, we need it to be fixed.